Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked away from an insult, replaying it over and over, wishing you had the perfect response? The kind of response that would silence anyone and make them think twice before messing with you again? I know I have. But here's the truth. This video isn't for everyone. If you're okay with being just like everyone else, letting insults get under your skin and staying powerless, this is your chance to leave. But if you dare to step up, to become someone who not only outsmarts insults, but turns them into opportunities for dominance, stay with me. This is your moment. I believe in you. You're not average, and I won't let you settle for less. When I was in college, someone publicly insulted me, and I froze. I felt powerless, humiliated. But I made a choice that day to never feel like that again. I locked myself in my room, studied the psychology of power, and vowed to transform. Today, I'll share 11 dark psychology secrets that will not just protect you from insults, but give you the upper hand every time. Let's do this because you're special to me, and I want to see you win. Number 1, the silent stare. Imagine this. You're at a meeting, and a coworker suddenly says something insulting, like, "Of course you'd mess that up. You always do." Most people would immediately react, maybe by defending themselves, explaining why it wasn't their fault, or firing back an insult. But you're not like most people. Instead, you pause and just stare. This silent, steady gaze isn't just about looking at them. It's about making them feel your presence without saying a word. Silence is powerful because it creates discomfort, especially when the other person expects an immediate reaction. They're looking for a fight or for you to crumble. By not giving them that satisfaction, you've already won. In this scenario, your silent stare communicates something far stronger than words. Your opinion doesn't matter to me. I'm unshaken. Over time, this approach also builds your reputation as someone who can't be easily provoked, which makes others think twice before targeting you. One man shared his story about using this technique during an argument at a family dinner. His cousin made a snide comment about his job, implying it wasn't as prestigious as theirs. Instead of getting defensive, he simply stared at his cousin with a neutral expression. The room fell silent, and his cousin quickly changed the subject, visibly uncomfortable. Number 2, flip the script. Let's say someone calls you bossy. For most people, this word carries a negative connotation, suggesting that you're controlling or overbearing. But instead of taking it as an insult, you can flip the script, smile and say, "That's because I know how to take charge and get things done." By reframing the insult, you not only neutralize its negativity, but also highlight a strength. This tactic works because it shifts the focus. The person insulting you was trying to paint you in a bad light, but you've used their words to shine a spotlight on your positive qualities instead. Think about a high school teacher who's constantly told by students, "You're too strict." Instead of feeling offended, the teacher could reply with, "Yes, because I want all of you to succeed and reach your full potential." In this response, the teacher acknowledges the accusation but adds a deeper meaning that turns the criticism into something admirable. Flipping the script not only leaves the insulter speechless, but also boosts your confidence by reinforcing your self-belief. Number 3, ask them to repeat it. Have you ever noticed how people often say things in the heat of the moment that they wouldn't repeat if they were asked to? That's the psychology behind this tactic. When someone insults you, don't react immediately. Instead, stay calm and ask, "Sorry, what did you say?" This question forces them to repeat their words. And here's the trick. Insults often sound harsher when spoken a second time, especially when the initial emotional outburst has faded. The person might hesitate, realizing how cruel or ridiculous they sound. For example, a woman once shared how a colleague made a rude comment about her outfit during a lunch break, saying, "You always dress so boring." Instead of getting upset, she calmly asked, "Could you repeat that?" Her colleague mumbled the words again, this time with less confidence, and quickly tried to backtrack by adding, I just think simple styles suit you." This technique works because it shifts the spotlight onto the insulter, forcing them to confront the impact of their words. It's a subtle but effective way to take control of the interaction without raising your voice or appearing defensive. Number 4, agree with them, but add power. This approach takes the wind out of an insulter's sails by doing the unexpected, agreeing with them. But here's the twist. You agree in a way that turns their insult into a display of your strength. Imagine someone tells you, "You're selfish." Instead of denying it, confidently reply, "You're right. I prioritize myself because I know my worth." This response not only neutralizes the insult, but also makes it clear that you're unapologetic about valuing yourself. One entrepreneur shared how this technique helped her during a heated business meeting. A competitor accused her of being too aggressive during negotiations. She responded with, "I am aggressive when it comes to fighting for what I believe in. That's why I'm successful." Her response left the room silent, with no one daring to challenge her further. This tactic works because it flips the narrative. The insulter expects you to feel ashamed or defensive, but instead you project confidence and pride. It's a reminder that their opinion doesn't define you. Number 5, make it a joke. Humor is one of the best ways to diffuse tension and show that you're unbothered. When someone insults you, laugh it off and turn it into a joke. This not only takes the sting out of their words, but also shows that you're comfortable with yourself. For example, if someone says, "You're so weird," you could respond with, "I know. Isn't it great? Normal is boring." By making a joke, you completely disarm the insulter. They were trying to provoke you, but instead, you've shown that their words don't bother you at all. Comedians often use this tactic in their routines, turning audience heckles into moments of humor that leave the heckler embarrassed. In daily life, this approach shows confidence and emotional intelligence, proving that you're secure in who you are. Number 6, the over-the-top thank you. When someone insults you, they expect anger, frustration, or defensiveness. What they don't expect is gratitude. By saying something like, "Thank you so much for noticing that about me," you completely catch them off guard. Imagine you're at a party and someone says, "You're so bad at telling jokes." Instead of getting offended, smile brightly and respond, "Wow, thanks for paying such close attention to my humor." Now, they're the ones scrambling to figure out how to respond. This tactic works because it flips the emotional script. Instead of feeding into their negativity, you show that their insult doesn't faze you. It also subtly puts the focus back on them, making their rudeness more noticeable to others. A classic example of this comes from public figures who use humor and gratitude to diffuse critics. When criticized for her bold outfit, a celebrity once replied, "Thank you for noticing my unique style. It's always great to stand out." The result? The insult rolled right off her, leaving her critics speechless. Number 7, reverse psychology. Reverse psychology is a brilliant tool for throwing insulters off their game. By responding with something unexpected, you turn the situation into a puzzle they can't solve. For example, if someone says, "You're terrible at this," you can reply with a playful smirk and say, "I was hoping someone would finally point that out. Thanks." This response makes them second-guess their intent. Were they trying to hurt you? Joke with you? Suddenly, their confidence falters. Here's a story that illustrates this technique. A student was often teased by a classmate for being overly studious, with remarks like, "You're such a nerd." Instead of feeling embarrassed, the student would laugh and say, "I know, I've been working so hard for that title." Over time, the classmates stopped making those remarks because they no longer had the desired effect. Reverse psychology works because it creates confusion. The insulter can't figure out if you're genuinely unaffected, being sarcastic, or playing along, which takes the power out of their words. Number 8, respond with a question. Questions are incredibly powerful because they shift the focus back onto the other person. When someone insults you, calmly ask, "Why would you say that?" This forces them to explain themselves, often making them realize how petty or unkind they sound. For instance, if someone says, "You're so full of yourself," respond with a neutral tone and ask, "Why do you think that?" Now, they're the one on the spot. Do they really have a reason, or were they just being rude? This approach can be particularly effective in professional settings. A manager once shared how a coworker made a snide comment about their work ethic during a meeting. Instead of reacting, they asked, "Can you clarify what you mean by that?" The coworker stumbled over their words, realizing how inappropriate their comments sounded in front of others. Asking questions works because it forces the insulter to justify their behavior. In many cases, they'll backtrack or fall silent, leaving you in control. Number 9, The confidence echo. When someone insults you, repeating their words with a confident twist can neutralize the attack and show that you're unbothered. For example, if someone says, "You're so lazy," you can respond with a smile and say, "Yeah, lazy and proud." This tactic works because it reframes the insult as something you own without shame. It also shows that their words have no power over you. Consider the example of a young artist who was frequently criticized for being too quirky in their style. When someone said, "Your art is so weird," they'd respond with, "Exactly. I call it original." This response not only diffused the insult, but also turned it into an opportunity to reinforce their uniqueness. The confidence echo demonstrates self-assurance, which can be incredibly frustrating for someone trying to bring you down. Number 10, mirror their emotion. Sometimes, the best way to handle an insult is to match the energy of the person delivering it. If someone insults you jokingly, joke back. If they're angry, stay calm. By mirroring their emotion, you neutralize their attack and take control of the situation. For example, if a friend jokingly says you're the worst cook ever, laugh and reply, "You're just jealous of my one-of-a-kind recipes." On the other hand, if someone angrily says, "You're so irresponsible," stay composed and say, "I see why you'd think that. Let's talk about it calmly." This tactic works because it aligns your response with their tone, making it harder for them to escalate the situation. One woman shared how she used this technique with a sarcastic coworker. When the coworker said, "Oh, you're finally on time today," she laughed and replied, "Yep, even I'm surprised." The humor diffused the tension, and the coworker didn't bother her again. Mirroring emotions allows you to maintain control while subtly redirecting the interaction. Number 11, walk away like a boss. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. When someone insults you, walking away without saying a word sends a clear message. You're not worth my time or energy. Picture this, you're at a social event and someone makes a rude comment about your appearance. Instead of engaging, you simply smile faintly, turn around, and walk away. This action is so unexpected that it leaves them stunned. It's the ultimate display of confidence because it shows that you don't even consider their words worth acknowledging. This technique works especially well in situations where the insulter is looking for attention. By refusing to engage, you deny them the reaction they crave. It's also an excellent way to protect your peace and dignity. A businessman once shared how he used this tactic during a heated negotiation. When the opposing party insulted his company, he calmly stood up, gathered his papers, and left the room. His silent exit spoke volumes, and the other party quickly reached out to apologize and renegotiate. Walking away isn't about avoiding confrontation. It's about demonstrating that you're above petty behavior. Listen, mastering these strategies isn't just about responding to insults, it's about reclaiming your power and becoming unstoppable. You've already taken the first step by watching this video, and that says a lot about the kind of person you are. But this is just the beginning. If you want to dive deeper into dark psychology and unlock even more powerful strategies, check out the Dark Psychology playlist. It's packed with insights that will help you sharpen your mind, master influence, and stay steps ahead of anyone who tries to challenge you. You're not just anyone. You're part of a rare group of people who refuse to settle for average. I'm proud of you for making it this far. Let's keep leveling up together. If this video added value to your life, hit subscribe, tap the bell, and join this journey of growth. Remember, the only limits you have are the ones you choose to accept. Let's break them together. Check out the playlist and take the next step toward becoming truly powerful.